Today's guest didn't just break the mold, she shattered it. From a life changing shock at 17 and redefining success on her own terms, to building a thriving leadership and sales empire based on trust, authenticity, and human connection. Barb Betts has shown us that real relationships are a game changer. She's a CEO, keynote speaker, and host of the award winning podcast, Relationships Are Your Superpower. Whether you're leading a team, closing deals, or building a culture, Barb teaches that it's not what you sell, it's who you are and how you connect. So let's dive in with the connection expert herself. Welcome, Barb Betts. Welcome to the Yes Show. I'm your host, Christine Trippi. Each week, we'll explore the life-changing power of saying yes, along with hotel leadership made easy. Get ready for inspiration, fun, and sweet hospitality. Let's go. Barb, let's dive into your big yes. You went from teen mom to trailblazer. Discovering that you were pregnant at 17 was your big yes moment. How did that life-altering decision shape your confidence and your resilience to build this future you're creating?
Thinking back to that moment, what's interesting about that moment is I hid behind it for years, right? I hid behind being a teenage mom. And not that it wasn't very obvious. I looked like a child. So it was very clear that my husband and I were young parents, right? But I think that reflecting back on like resilience and courage and bravery and all the things was the day I realized that our biggest setbacks and challenges are truly where we find our real authentic self. Like we try to cover them up. We think that they're a negative. We think that they're something that we should hide behind. And it's more for me the day I realized, you know what, this actually has shaped who I am. This is why I have taken some of the paths I've taken in life, why some of the opportunities were given to me. And truly what's propelled my career throughout my life was all having that baby, getting pregnant at 17, ultimately having him at 18 years old, and just saying yes to myself in the sense of, I can do this. We can get through this. I refuse to become a statistic. I refuse to have that stigma of teenage mom labeled on me. And then, the rest is history.
Yes. And how many people needed to hear that message from you? They needed to see someone who's successful that shares that message. It is also the same thing Brene Brown talks about, is sharing your shame, because the only time shame can grow is when you keep it secret to yourself. And the minute you release it, you can let go of the shame.
Yeah, no, you don't just let go of the shame. You realize there was no reason to be ashamed to begin with.
Exactly.
Right. You never had to go there, but I did. I hid behind it for years before I was able to comfortably talk about it, before I was able to talk about it without crying, like all of the things. And so I think that's the key, is there's no shame to hide behind. I do believe there are regrets and mistakes in life that we make. I do believe that you can take directions in your life you maybe wish you didn't take because it was a huge setback that you caused or you could have avoided. But even in those, I think you learn something from it. I think you become stronger. I think you grow from it. And I think that's really when you discover who you are most authentically meant to be.
Yes. And something I talk about in my keynote is failing forward. It's those failures that are going to get you the next thing. What got you here isn't going to get you there. You have to keep failing and learning and growing and getting uncomfortable. If everything went perfect for you, you'd have nothing to write a term paper on.
Right. Very true. Very true statement.
Now, when I saw you speak at the Brand Builder Showcase, I talked about your framework afterwards. I loved your presentation, and that's why I wanted you on the show today, because everything we do in hospitality is about relationships. And again, like I said before, what worked before isn't what's going to work today. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about your build framework and tell us more about how you're helping people.
Yeah. So, the building relationships formula comes all completely from my sales background, my journey as an entrepreneur and a business owner. But my relationship passion actually started when I was a little girl.
Mm.
I didn't actually uncover this until, frankly, in the last year. I was asked a question at an event I was at, and it kind of stuck with me, and I really had to dig deep, and the question was kind of centered around twofold. It was like, what's the story on your heart that you're not telling that you should be telling? And then
Oh,
someone else had kind of asked me, why do you care so much about relationships? When did you learn the power of relationships? And I used to always say, from my sales background, right? It's how I built my business.
okay.
And then one day I sat back and I thought, you know what, that's not it. The reality is I learned the power of relationships as a very young child, from the perspective of being born an only child and left an only child, no siblings in my life,
Okay.
and also being a very unpopular child. And what I mean by unpopular is, I mean I had every strike against me, right? Picture overweight, glasses, short boy looking haircut, braces, port wine stained birthmark on my face. My nickname was Barbie. I was the last one to get be picked for kickball. I was the last one to be invited to slumber parties, if I was even invited to slumber parties. And then transition that into always feeling left out and disconnected and not feeling seen or important by anybody. And then fast forward to middle school and high school years, where I became a latchkey only child, right? I grew up in the 80s and the early 90s, where, right, we don't see this as often anymore in the day and age that we live in now. But in my world, both parents worked outside of the home, they worked far away. Now, don't get me wrong, I was provided for, I was not ignored by my parents.
Yes.
But I would come home every day by myself to an empty house, and I would just turn on the Oprah show, frankly, to feel like I was with somebody,
Somebody I
and
know.
constantly looking at the phone, hoping it would ring and someone would invite me over. And so all the things. So I understood what disconnection felt like at a very young age. And what I can say now is, when you go without something your entire life, your entire young life, you will fight with every bone in your body to make sure you always have it. And I
Yes.
think that's why I learned as an adult the power of relationship and connection and friendship and human, was because I know what it's like to be alone and by myself and feeling like I'm not important to anybody. So I do everything I can in my world to make everyone around me feel seen and known and important and valued. And so, yeah, that transitioned into business, and I built an entire sales career and background on that, done research on it, have lived it, and now I speak on it in the corporate
Hmm.
world and teaching business owners, organizations, CEOs, employees, how do we build relationships intentionally? Because that's the problem.
Yes.
Everyone knows it's about relationships. Like every hotelier that listens to this podcast, every person in the hospitality industry that listens to this podcast is told by somebody, the relationships with our clients are the most important. The relationships with our customers are the most important. The relationship with our teams are the most important. What I've discovered is no one's teaching you how to actually intentionally build them. And we
Yes.
take them for granted and they drift away. And so that's what the build framework is kind of all encompassing, is how do we build them intentionally?
Yes. Love it. Are you comfortable with sharing the
Oh
build
yeah,
acronym?
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. So build effectively is be authentically you, right? Whether you're a person or a brand or a company, how do you show up real and authentic and relatable? Because that's what
Hmm.
people connect with. I
Hmm.
do believe that part of the problem in all businesses and all organizations is not the leader, is not the salesperson, is not the knowledge or the expertise. It's who they're bringing with them every day. That's the problem.
Hmm.
The you is understand them, right? We have to turn our own internal facing dialogue to others. How do we truly make people feel seen and known and important? The I is invest with intention. This is where we have to get intentional. We have to get very intentional with how we build these relationships. How
Yes.
do we stay in consistent contact with people? How do we ensure that relationships don't drift away? How do we take a large group of people and make sure we're treating people based on the level of relationship they have with us, right? You can't treat everyone the same. And that's the other problem that I
Hmm.
see companies and brands make. I mean, let's talk about the hospitality industry. You guys
Yeah.
understand this. Every one of you has a rewards program and a loyalty program.
Mhm.
And when someone walks in, I won't mention the hotel brand that I frequent most, but I am at the very top. And when I walk in, the red carpet is rolled out for me, different than somebody that's not. You can't treat everybody the same.
Mhm.
The L is leverage moments. How do we take everyday moments and things that are happening with our friends, with our clients, with people that are in your establishment, that are visiting you at a restaurant or whatever world you live in hospitality? How do you take moments that they're actually identifying and telling you and leverage them, make them special, make them unique, make them memorable? And then the last is deliver extraordinary value, which should be the easiest, but I am amazed at how much that piece is forgotten, because at the end of the day, you can meet someone's expectations or you can exceed them. And if you meet them, you get a paycheck, you get a commission, you get a receipt, you get a checkout, you get a sale. If you exceed them, people come back. People come back for
Mhm.
more, and then they tell their friends and bring their friends with them. So that's the
Exactly.
framework.
I
Happy to
love
break
it.
down any piece of it, but that's really the if you follow that framework, again, I do this in front of large audiences, I do it in
Mhm.
corporate, I do it with leadership, I do it with all kinds of people, and at the end of the day, it's how you build the intentional relationships that matter the most.
Okay, so be you, understand them, implement the connection, or be
Invest
intentional
with
about the
intention. Yep.
connection, leverage the moments, and deliver value. Is there any examples of those, maybe in your own world, or maybe one of your clients that took you up on these this formula and really had some gangbuster results? Any great stories you want to share?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's so many. And the thing about these intentional relationship building moments and strategies is sometimes most of the time they're not grand results. It's the microscopic moments and the microscopic actions that built compoundedly over time deliver the biggest return, right? It's like
Hmm.
you have no idea based on the way you treated someone in your establishment what they're going to go tell a friend who may be at 10 times the level income they are for ability to spend, and shows up to your establishment and spends exponentially different. And so that is a grand result that in certain establishments, especially in the B2B world, which is where hoteliers live, even though
Hmm.
it's a consumer based product, you don't have, I always say B2B because you're more of a large group of people visiting your establishment doing transactions, right? You don't have a one-on-one relationship as much with the attendees as like an insurance agent would, right? They have a
Hmm.
very direct one-on-one with the consumer. And so when you're in these larger establishments, sometimes it's harder to measure the results of these moments and these intentionalities. But one story that I love that actually is a story that your listeners may be familiar with, but I use in my keynotes, especially for a more corporate audience, because it helps them understand how the simplest act can deliver exponential results that ripple through an entire brand. And it's the
Okay.
Ritz-Carlton Joshi story, which I'm sure you've heard before. And for anybody who hasn't heard of it, it's about a
Yes.
family that visited the Ritz-Carlton in Amelia Island, and their sweet little boy left behind his favorite stuffed animal, Joshi,
Yes.
and flew home devastated, called the hotel. Can you please find Joshi? We can't live without Joshi. And, the Ritz-Carlton in Amelia Island didn't just find Joshi, but the security guard that found Joshi decided to make a moment out of it. And what I love about this story is he could have put it in a box and nailed it back to the family and
Hmm.
accomplished their expectation. However, he took it on a little adventure around the hotel and got it a security badge, a name badge, and took it to the spa, and it worked in the spa, and it went to the restaurant, and it slept in the bed, and it had its glasses on, and it got its own Joshi name badge that they sent it home with. And they sent it home with a photo album filled with Joshi's adventure that he had at the Ritz when his family left. And it's
Hmm.
like, that is such a crystal example of something that in any organization, you can take something where someone expected you to do something and you take it to that next level. Because what I
Next
love
level.
about this story is when the family went to the internet and the dad, I believe, shared it first on LinkedIn and a blog. Imagine the amount of people who read that and immediately thought favorably of Ritz-Carlton as a
Yep.
brand, not
Hmm.
just the Amelia Island location. And
Yes.
so that's always one that I share that's not about me, that's not about something I did. It
Right.
just shows the power of leveraging a moment. It shows the power of understanding how scared this little boy is with his favorite lovey.
Mhm.
And then doing it intentionally. Like someone had to think that through, right?
Right.
And take an extra day and take it around the hotel and then package it up and send it. So I just think it's a lovely example. Personally, I've had these experiences where one of my favorite restaurants here locally in Southern California is an Italian restaurant. It's independently owned. It's been that way for
Okay.
35 years. And I remember the first time we visited it, probably about 10 or 12 years ago. And a good friend of ours works there as a server, and she's worked there since day one. And her and my son have grown up together playing baseball. And that was right when I was going through my journey of starting to be gluten free. And I'm gluten
Oh.
free by choice for my own health challenges. I won't
Mhm.
die. I'm not allergic. It's just a preference. Well,
Mhm.
Terry, the server, knew that about me. So it shows the power of understanding somebody, listening to somebody,
Yes.
knowing that that's important to them. So I go to the restaurant for the first time and she says to me, "Hey, I'm going to get you some gluten-free bread." And I was like, "Oh my God, you have gluten-free bread?" Because that's like my dream come true. She's like, "Well, actually, it's our really good gluten-free pizza crust. We just cut it up like bread and bring some marinara sauce." I was like, "That sounds amazing. I don't get bread anywhere, so bring it." So
Right.
she brings it and I enjoy it and we leave. Fast forward, the next time we come, I don't have to ask Terry for the gluten free bread, it just appears. But here's the kicker, here's the understand them moment that this restaurant does different. This restaurant, in my open table profile on their system,
Mhm.
added gluten free. And here's the first time I identified it. I came in once and Terry wasn't working. Okay, no big deal. We sat with another server. Without saying a word, without asking, gluten free bread appeared. And I looked at her and I said, "Is Terry here somewhere?" And she goes, "No." I go, "How did you know that I prefer gluten free bread?" She goes, "Oh, it's in your customer profile."
Mhm.
Right? That is a restaurant that's serving hundreds of patrons every evening, but made me feel seen and important.
Yes. Yes.
And
There's
so it's
no
like,
price you can put on that.
there is no price you can put on this. And then, of course, there's the individual things like birthday cards,
Mm.
remembering people's special dates and moments, knowing that someone's having surgery 2 weeks from now and texting them the night before surgery and saying, "Hey, I
Mhm.
hope the procedure goes well tomorrow." It's
Right.
showing up in people's lives in a way that screams, "I care about you. I see you." Not in a transactional, "Thank you for coming. Thank you for, your, patronage, and you came and you bought something from, and thank you and hope to see you again." It's in
Yes.
a very intentional way.
Yes. Thank you for being a platinum member. They don't
Nobody
hear
cares.
that.
Nobody cares.
And I
Yeah.
would say the biggest block to building that is the fact that we listen to close the deal. We listen to get our information out, and we don't listen to what people are genuinely saying.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
if we were going into every conversation to listen to serve, then you would hear those ways you can additionally serve and make a
Correct.
lot more money, by the way.
Correct. And that's why I say in understand them, when I'm teaching specifically the pillar on understand them, I teach what I call the connection loop because I
Okay.
actually believe what you said matters so much. People are listening to respond. I teach people how to listen to actually understand, right? And it's a these are muscles you have to build. These don't
Yes.
happen overnight, right?
Yes.
I do this naturally because I've been doing it for so long, but the connection loop is four pieces. First, it's listen, right? My
Hmm.
mantra is people are telling you everything you need to know. You're just not listening, right?
Hmm.
Someone's checking into the hotel. That front desk staff should be trained to be nosy and listen to what they're talking to each other about.
Yes.
Listen to what they're saying that they may not be directly saying to you, right? Are you truly listening? Then you have to notice, right? You have to notice tone. You have to notice excitement. You have to notice when someone almost says something that they don't actually say, right? Or
Hmm.
if you're a leader, if you're a manager listening to this and your team meeting is every Tuesday, and every Tuesday, every time Joey opens his mouth, Christine gets withdrawn. Every time
Hmm.
Joey walks in the room and Christine's talking, she stops talking.
Right.
right? Are you noticing that there is a problem right there, right?
Hmm.
Are you paying attention enough to where you notice things? The most important piece of this connection loop is the third piece, though, and that's
Okay.
a document. Because the
Document.
biggest piece that's missing is people, you're human. You're going to forget things.
Yes.
And so the biggest skill I have that I've had for a very long time is documenting the things I'm learning. For instance, what Terry did. She documented the gluten-free thing. She
Yes.
didn't just remember it, she just didn't keep it to herself. She documented it so the entire restaurant to this day, I go in there, doesn't matter who's serving me. Terry's a manager now. She only serves 1 day a week. No matter when I go in, no matter where I go in, I have gluten-free bread in front of me because it was documented. So, are you documenting the things that are important to your customers and your clients or the people you're working with? When I go to networking events, when I socialize, I pay attention.
Hmm.
Right? When I'm out to dinner with clients for the first time, I pay attention to what they order. Did they order red wine? Did they order white wine? If every time I go out, they order red wine, they obviously love red wine. Or I might say, oh my gosh, is red wine your favorite? And they're going to be like, oh my God, I can't live without it. I hate white wine. Okay, note to self, document
Right.
in CRM, they
Right.
love red wine because guess what? You're human. So
Hmm.
when you need to shower on them, when you need to surprise them, when you need to gift them, when you need to show up in a special way for them, give them what they actually like, right? I always say at networking events, are you watching the person that doesn't drink at all? They always have a club soda in their hand. Okay, note to self, don't send them alcohol.
A bottle of wine. Exactly.
Correct. And so are you truly noticing enough to document? And people are like, Barb, but how do you do this? I'm like, sometimes you just got to get creative. You get out your
Yes.
phone underneath the table and you put it in your notes app. When I finish lunch with you, I go get in my car and before I
Wow.
drive away, I get out my notes app. Then I wait till I get home to the CRM, the contact record, wherever you're going to store your information. And then the last piece of the connection loop is you actually have to do something with the information. You actually have to connect,
Yes.
right? You have to
Yes.
listen, you have to notice, you have to document, and then you have to use it. And the reason it's a loop is it has to be done over and over and over again. Every time you're with somebody, they're telling you something new. Every time you're with somebody, they're telling you something that matters to them. And when you use it as a connection point,
Hmm.
you are saying, this is what you're saying to them. You're saying, you said something that mattered to you, and I'm showing you it matters to me too.
Right.
That's one of the most powerful things you can do because when I teach relationships, when I talk about relationships, the thing I say before I go into my framework to kind of get people like, oh, okay, I thought I was doing relationships, but I'm not really doing is this. It's not about how many people you know. It's about how many people feel known by you.
I love that quote. Say the quote
It's
again. It's
not
perfect.
about how many people you know. It's about how many people feel known by you. That's the
Yes.
game changer.
Yes. I love that quote. Perfect quote. And for those of you out there thinking about how do I do it? One, I want to ask you what's your method of madness. But for those of you out there thinking about it, one, if you're a Marriott property, you know your GXP. If you don't know this, your GXP, you can log local preferences, which means at my hotel, this guest loves room 404, but that's just my hotel. That's a local preference. And you can also do worldwide preferences. So say this person is gluten-free, you can add that information in there. And that will go to every Marriott property out there. Now, you might be in a brand that doesn't have as sophisticated system like that. Back in the 90s and even 80s, I used to have what do they call that? An index card file box. And I would have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then my Mr. Schultz at the Hampton Inn in 1991, he loved peanut M&Ms. I have Mr. Schultz peanut M&Ms. You could literally be that prehistoric.
No,
And you can still do that.
you are, I wrote down everything you said about the Marriott because that may be the brand that I frequent quite often. And but what I love about what you said is all it takes is a little intentionality on everyone's part.
Yes.
Right. And this is where my philosophy is. This is why I work with so many CEOs and managers, and I come into a lot of hospitality and deal with like senior level management in building relationships because I also have a mantra that the better relationships you build with your team, the better relationships the team's going to build with the client, right? Because at the end of the day,
Exactly.
that hotel, the GM isn't at the front desk all day long talking to the guests, right?
Mhm.
But if that hotel manager has modeled this with his team or her team, and then that front desk manager has modeled it with the front desk associates, then the front desk associate models it with the actual guests. And when everyone's trained to think like this, I use this example all the time. Anyone and everyone who touches the customer is in the business of relationships.
Yes.
Right? Like there isn't a person in a hotel property, typically, maybe the IT team, right? That isn't talking to the actual guests. And so everyone in that establishment needs to focus on relationships because there is that trickle down effect, right? And if
100%.
everyone's trained in identifying it and recognizing it and leveraging it and doing things just a little bit differently, then you're right. If I walked into a hotel, and I can't think of how many hotels I've frequented where I do have a favorite tower or a
Hmm.
favorite location. And
Same.
I've asked for it numerous times upon arrival because I know, hey, I want to be I can think of one specific property in San Diego where I want to be in the North Tower because it has the better balconies. I've asked for that every time I've gone in there. You're absolutely correct. Why I'm a very high level at this hotel chain. Why is that not in my record? I
Right.
shouldn't even have to ask. It should be when I get greeted. Oh my God, Miss Betts, thank you so much for joining us again. I've got noted down here that you prefer this tower. So I found you a lovely room in this tower with a bay view. Hello. I'm going to come
Exactly.
back a lot more often when I'm treated like that. So you're correct. But everyone has to be trained to do it. Everyone has to be
Exactly.
thinking it. It can't just be one person. And that's where you create a ripple effect that affects everybody because it affects the entire property and everybody that's paid to service that property benefits when customers come back over and over and over again.
Yes. And this is my key moment to make a plug for Huddle. There's nothing more important you do every day than that team huddle with education, learning, and expertise. I love those little micro training moments. So Huddle is, I always find a way to fit Huddle in. All of it's so spot on. And it's so great hearing from someone who is one of a hotelier in a hotel every week. Same with myself. I'm going to give you everybody one example. This is how simple it could be. One example from when I was a GM at the Courtyard. And every morning, Mr. Hutera, he was one of our regular guests in our hotel every week. Every single morning, he'd be at our bistro and he would get a biscotti, he would get a Diet Dr. Pepper, and he would get a yogurt parfait. And so I picked up on that. So then when he would come down, there'd be a huge line for the Starbucks, and the bistro. As soon as I'd see him, I already had it all prepared. And I'd write a little quote on his bag or I'd write a fun message on his bag. And as soon as I'd see him, I said, Mr. Hatira, you're all set. He walked out of there feeling like, and how easy is that? It's just noticing and then doing something with it.
Yeah, and it's paying attention. In large organizations, you can't do this with every day with everybody, right? Sometimes you don't have people that come back over and over and over again, but it's just like
Yes.
thinking differently and noticing, like I said, eavesdropping when they check in and potentially they mention like, oh my gosh, aren't you so excited? Tomorrow is your birthday, or I can't wait to celebrate your birthday tomorrow, or I can't wait for your birthday dinner tonight. Now you're all of a sudden like, oh my God, their kid's birthday is today or tomorrow. And you
Right.
send something to their room or you recognize the birthday in a special way or a free dessert, insert whatever, free
Mhm.
pool snack by the pool just to celebrate the birthday. There's so much, but it's like, are you paying attention enough to
Right.
understand you have a job to build a relationship with that person standing in front of you? And it can be done in a moment. It's
Yes.
not going to be a deep rooted, long term, you're going to be best friend relationship, but you are affecting that experience and that relationship that person has with your location, your establishment, or your brand.
Yes. And something I'll say in my training is how many of you have ever been to a food restaurant, store, and because of the one interaction with one team member, you say, I will never shop at Target for as long. How many? We've all said that. And that isn't because Target is a bad company. That is because of the one team member that they interacted with.
Correct.
And that is what, so we have to understand that when we show up every day, we're not just impacting our own selves, we're impacting the entire organization. And that's a lot. That's a lot.
It is a lot.
I love this conversation. I can go on and on and on. But let's do this. So many people struggle, especially post pandemic, with networking and building those resolutions or relationships. So, talk about how to make networking not feel so slimy. You've been praised for helping professionals engage in that authenticity. Tell us about that.
Well, it all goes down to, I believe it's treating someone as more than they're just another person at the networking event, right? So it's like, how do you create and engage in conversation? And I have a whole formula for what I believe the 3 key components of a relationship are. First is visibility. Right? Okay. You have to actually be visible. So when people say to me, well, this isn't working for me, let's just say all of your, people that are listening in the hospitality world, they don't understand why they don't have better relationships within their own organization or their own brand. It's like, are you visible? Are you showing up to the company meetings? Are you showing up to the conferences? Are you showing up to the networking? So first it starts with visibility. Now, assuming you are visible, right? I believe the second piece of a relationship is you have to be vulnerable. Now, there's also different levels of vulnerability that we have with humans. And I'm not saying you meet someone at a networking event and the first time you throw up your entire life on them. That's not what I'm saying. But are you vulnerable enough to have a personal conversation, a human to human getting to know each other conversation, more than just, I can't stand the surface level networking of like, how was your flight? What time did you get here? Where are you from? Oh, right. Like those are boring surface level conversations. Right. So I can't create the question for everybody, but it's walk in knowing a few key open-ended questions.
Yes. Right? Give us a couple that you're seeing.
Some things that I would say is, what are you most excited about? Like,
love that one.
For the next 2 days, right? Yes. Get them talking about something personal, right? Like that to me is so much better than what time did you get here? Did you fly in? Did you drive?
Yeah.
And then the third piece, which is the one that I think is the most important, and that if I've been given a gift in my life that I probably have worked hard at, but have gotten good at and don't realize how hard I worked at it, that everyone needs to work on, that I believe is the key to success in networking is relatability. So are you listening? We talked about this before. Are you listening enough to find, I'm sorry, but most people can find something to connect with another human on. Something, yes. Whether it's children, whether it's where they grew up, whether it's where they live, whether it's what they do for a living, sports, hobbies, interests, travel, cocktails, something about them you can connect with if you listen enough. And so they may say something as simple as, oh, I love coming to these events, but I hate leaving my dog. Oh my God, what kind of dog do you have?
Right.
Oh my God, I have this one. You connect on dogs. In my world, there's a couple key things that I usually connect on. Sports and baseball. If the second they mention that, I'm an encyclopedia of baseball information. So I immediately know if they're a baseball lover, I can go deep. We can have a conversation. We're going to be best friends. We're going to talk all about baseball before we walk away from each other. What can you find as a connection point that creates the relatability factor? The only way you're going to find it out is to ask open-ended questions and then to ask the next question.
Yes.
So the most important piece is you ask a question, they answer, ask another question. They answer, ask another question. They answer, ask another, keep asking questions. Because if you ask enough questions, you will get to a point of finding some kind of commonality that then you can start talking about, right? That's how you create that conversational point in a networking event. But the key to building relationships is this. The problem is, not everybody you meet at a networking event you're going to want to connect with and have a relationship with. I'm not suggesting that at all, okay? But the people that you're like, oh my God, I loved getting to know Christine. We, beamed each other our contact information,
Right.
which is a joke because it's going to go into the abyss of your phone and you're never going to find it again.
Exactly. Don't do
Open up,
that.
or if you
LinkedIn.
do that, open up your notes app and put follow up with Christine so that
Yes,
you can go back and find Christine's information. It's all about what you do after it.
it
It's
is.
all about, do you take Christine and put her in your ecosystem of intentionally investing in the relationship? Do you put Christine into your CRM as a relationship? Do you put her in all the things I teach in workshopping? Do you put her in as a ranking? Do you put her in a follow-up formula? And you're probably like, well, Barb, that sounds so transactional. No, it's not. It's how a relationship doesn't drift away. It's
Yes.
so when you say to Christine before you walk away, you're like, oh my God, we need to connect after this event's over. We've got to do coffee or we've got to hop on Zoom. And then guess what happens? Neither one of you follows up, and that relationship building moment drifts away.
Yes.
So what do you have to do? You have to be the intentional one to actually follow up. And so if you
Mhm.
don't have some kind of system, if you don't have some kind of strategy to intentionally follow up, you won't. And then that's where the whole frequency formula and ranking system and how often we connect and what we do and how we do it comes into play, which we don't have time for in a podcast. But you just need to think from the strategy of one step. When you leave and you really liked somebody, what's your next step with that person? And then go do it. If you just do that one step post event,
Mhm.
you'll be amazed how quickly some of my closest friends that I do life with, I met at networking events.
Mhm. Some of mine I met on LinkedIn and I've never met them in person yet.
Correct. Correct.
I literally talk with them every week
Correct.
and we've
Yeah.
become the best of friends.
My best friend in life, I met on Snapchat. So there you
Oh,
go. And we don't
that-
even live in the same state. And we talk 15 times a day. So relationships can develop out of the weirdest ways. The
Yes.
problem is we're not intentional with them. And what I've really been trying to emphasize in human life is that every opportunity you've ever been given in life is from a relationship.
Mhm.
Period.
Yes.
Every opportunity you've ever gotten happened because of a relationship. It's either a relationship that you leveraged or one that you leveraged with someone and then they leveraged with somebody else, right? A friend of a friend
Mhm.
type thing. But everything comes down to the foundation of a relationship. So if every opportunity is attached to a relationship, the key thing I want you to remember when you walk away, when you stop listening to this podcast is every relationship that you are ignoring or that you let drift away could be an opportunity you're missing.
Yes. And it's honestly, I feel like I'm very good at it. I even have a goal every year to have 50 cups of coffee. So
Love
every
it.
week with intention, to hit my 50 cups. Yet, even this conversation is ringing bells of, where I haven't, the summers happen and things like that. I haven't talked to this person in a while. I haven't connected with that person in a while. And so, it's everybody needs this message, no matter how good you're at it.
Well, that's the thing, because you're human. And that's why I
Yes.
say
And life is busy.
you don't do it intentionally, which is why my world comes down to two key factors. That ranking system I talked about, which is just simple as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Everyone knows what a 5-star experience is.
Yes.
For sure, you all do in this industry. Think of your relationships the same way. You know what a 5-star friendship is versus a 2-star friendship.
Right.
I have a whole system for it. We don't need to talk about it today. Just simplify it in your head by who are my top people in my world, right?
Mhm.
Then all I do every day is implement a make someone's day mindset. 5 messages a day to make someone's day. Thoughtful check-in,
Love
text
that.
message, video, engage on social media, was thinking about you, heard the song. It reminded me of when we were at the networking event and we danced to September all night long. Like it's my
Right.
favorite song ever. 5 a day. But the difference is you do them strategically. You
Mhm.
make sure that every day when you do this, you do it in order. You make sure your 5-star people hear from you every single month. And then you move to your 4s. And then, right? So you do it
Yeah.
strategically because those lower level relationships, it's not that they're bad people. You just have a different level relationship with them. Maybe
Of
it's more
connection.
this level. Maybe it's more you just see each other at events and you haven't really become best friends yet. That's okay. But the
Yes.
people that you do connect deeply with, that you know are going to be champions and advocates in your life, which
Right.
are 4s and 5s, you better have a systematic way to remember to engage with them, make them feel connected to you,
Mhm.
remind them of you, right?
Yeah.
That's how you build and deepen a relationship, but it comes with an awareness of your human. And to your point, they're going to drift away. So I also have a big responsibility in my own life. If I think of you, I text you. And if I
Hmm.
think of you and I can't text you, then I try to do it within 24 hours. Because when you think about someone like, oh, I should text Christine, don't text Christine tomorrow. I should really text Christine. I haven't heard from Christine. Okay, now Wednesday comes. Now Thursday comes. Now Friday comes. Now it's next week. Now it's next month. Now it's next year.
And
Now
now
all of
we
a
haven't
sudden,
talked in
you
years.
don't, when you absolutely see them and you're like, oh my God. Or the worst is when you need something. When you're like, I know Christine knows this person I need. Now you have to reach out and be like, I know we haven't talked in a long time, but Christine, do
Right.
you happen to know anybody? I really need some help in. And now you're transactional. You're
Exactly.
not doing it on purpose. You're
Right.
just letting your relationships drift away.
Yes. Yeah, I love that about the intentionality in your ranking system. Now, kind of you touched on this about getting a referral engine going. Do you have any best practices for getting those referrals?
As salespeople, right? As people who need to lean on others for incoming business,
Hmm.
the number one thing we're not doing is asking for the business. Okay.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there's stats out there that are staggering. I think it's that 91% of people would recommend you or refer you, but only 11% of salespeople actually ask, which is just
Hmm.
an incredible stat.
Right.
You're not asking, in my opinion, not because you don't want the business, but you're not asking for the business because you don't feel like you have permission to. And it all goes back to what I was talking about, making someone's day and intentionally connecting and investing. So I like to think of every relationship I have as a
Hmm.
relational trust account. You have a trust account with every other human you know. And every interaction you're making with another human is either a deposit into their life or a withdrawal, right? Are you giving or are you taking? Are you having a conversation at a networking event about them or is it all about you? It's
Hmm.
okay to be all about you. There might be a time and place for that, but that's a
Right.
withdrawal. That's not a deposit. So are you making intentional deposits? Because here's what I know. The reasons referrals come to me so easily is because I have poured so much into my relationship accounts with people that when
Hmm.
I do need something, I can easily call up a friend and say, hey, friend, I need your help.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And if you've built the relationship up the right way, they're going to be like, oh my God, yeah, what do you need? What do you need, Christine? I'll stop everything
Hmm.
right now. What do you need? Right. Then calling and asking Christine for the recommendation that you need or the referral that you need, or you know, Christine knows the CEO of blank properties and you want something from blank properties. You have no problem calling Christine because you know you've earned the right to. So,
Yeah.
referrals, in my opinion, come as a result of the relationship. And what I find people do backwards is they're taught to focus on getting referrals. They're not taught to focus on the relationship. You have to
Hmm.
focus on the relationship before the referral. Now, in my world, and definitely in the world that all of your listeners live in, it's a three-prong approach. It's the three
Hmm.
things people want, and they all are a result of relationships. It's obviously referrals, it's repeat business, and
Hmm.
retention, right? You carry clients that you never want to cancel with you. Repeat business, they come back over and over and over again. And referrals, where they love you so much that they start telling all their friends. All of those have to have a relationship in place first. And
Hmm.
every guest that's visiting your properties, every guest that's coming in a restaurant, anything in the hospitality industry, I'm only coming back if I feel like I have a relationship with the establishment in some way. Period.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you're not
Period.
focusing on that. And then the last thing I would say about referrals, if you are in an individual capacity and referrals are important to you, how you ask for business is so key. And I always say, ask for an introduction or a connection. Do
Yes.
not ask for a referral. A referral is what you want, it's the outcome. How
Hmm.
you ask for it matters. Saying to somebody, hey, Christine, when you come across someone who needs insert my services, would you mind introducing me to them?
Right.
Sounds a million times better than would you refer them to me?
Right. Would you tell him how awesome I am?
Correct. Introduce and connect means I want to service them. I want to help them,
Mm-hmm.
right? I want to be of value. I need to do the sales part.
Mm-hmm.
Referral sounds like, are they ready to transact? Are they ready to buy? Are they ready to
Right.
get, to get the deal done? And
Right.
that's not the proper way. That's the outcome you want, not how you should ask.
Yeah, that's a huge aha moment for maybe many people, asking for the connection versus the actual referral. It's so many things is about just how you say them.
It's how you say it. The
Yes.
the end result is the same, right? And I also just believe referrals overdone. And I
Yes.
think that referral also comes with, kind of a connotation of what's in it for me. Well, if I
Hmm.
refer you, what do I get?
Right.
Instead of, can you just introduce me to someone who I might be able to help?
Hmm.
And people do that with an attitude of gratitude and helpfulness, not from a tit for tat.
Right.
Some industries can't do it, but in a lot of industries you can, and maybe you give, free nights or vacations, or of course,
Hmm.
there's a place for everything.
Yeah.
But for most people, it's asking for the introduction or the connection that makes all the difference.
Love that. Well, one of the last questions I had for you, besides my question from the past guest, is what's one thing that someone right now hearing this could go and do? And what I really picked up from what you said that I think would be a great thing is to take 5 people in your life that you haven't maybe talked with, corresponded with in the last month or so, and just send a how you doing message or I thought of you because
Yep.
message. I was
Yep.
just thinking about you, and then send a message and reconnect. And one thing, you know who Jesse Itzler is?
Hmm.
I love that man so much. I love what he does. One of his things is every single day, I think it's 5, is sends 5 handwritten notes to people. Now today it's really hard to get people's addresses. Yes, love it. Love it. But sending those handwritten notes, even if you type a note, because my handwriting's terrible, but sending a snail mail is really something special. So today, that would be a great action item. Go out there and just send out 5 notes or send 5 texts that reconnect you with somebody that is special to you, that you value your relationship, and you just wanted to say, hi, I was thinking about you.
It will take you so far.
Mm-hmm.
I will say handwritten's a necessity, so I'm gonna push back on your typewritten. I don't
Okay.
care how bad your writing is.
Okay.
My trick is use Sharpies. I have a gazillion Sharpies everywhere. They're much easier to write with than pens, and they fill up the card more. Trust me, I'm a handwriting note professional. Addresses, you'd be amazed if you just DM somebody and say, "Hey, I'd like to send
Yes.
something in the mail to you. Can I grab your best?" Don't say home address. Just say your best mailing
Best.
address. I
Yes.
have never had somebody tell me no. So
Yes.
don't think because there's a limiter of like, well, I don't know where they live, right? Now, I come from
Mm-hmm.
an industry where I can access a lot of people's addresses, but even if you can't, if you don't have that superpower in your back
Yeah.
pocket, just DM. If you DM me and say, "Hey Barb, if I don't feel as connected to you, I'm going to give you my office address versus my home address."
Yes.
Not
Yes.
that it's not that big of a deal in 2025.
Okay. Here is, since I was the last guest on the Yes Show, I'm going to give you one of my questions. And then we'll get a question you have for our next guest. So, my question for you, especially since you're such a relationship person, if you were to walk into a room with every person you've ever known, who would be the first person you look for?
Every person I've ever known,
Yes.
my husband.
Oh, I love that. You're honey bunny. Now,
Husband.
if we were to take family out of that,
Okay.
is there any, let's see who that would be.
Oh my God. Geez, that is hard.
I know it's so hard.
Probably if it's everybody I've ever known, then probably my first mentor in business, which was a gentleman named by Brian Buffini, who's very famous in the real estate industry.
Okay.
He actually teaches the power of referrals. So
Okay.
I was very attracted to his systems way back in the day. So I would say probably him if I had to like
Okay.
someone from my past, uh,
Uh,
would probably be him, just to say thank you.
yeah, I love that. And that's another great little message right there. When you think of everybody you've ever known in a room, who would you look for? It's someone who invested in you. and helped you become the
Always.
person you're meant to be. So
Always.
go out there and be that person for someone today.
Always. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
my friend, what question do you have for our next guest?
My question would be, because I'm always so curious, is what was the last big opportunity you received in life and what relationship was it tied to?
Okay. Oh, I love that. I love that. Barb, I love you. I love the question. I can't wait to give it to our next guest. You've given me, someone who's a relationship person. I talk about guest service and guest relationships every single day, but you've given me a lot to think about again. And we all need the reminders. Some of the best relationship connectors need those reminders. So hopefully everyone got some great, good nuggets to take from here. But it's not about the golden nugget. It's what you do with the golden nugget. All right, my dear. Well, thank you so much for being here with me. Really enjoyed getting to know you more.
Oh, you're sweet. It was nice chatting with you. We'll talk soon.
Thanks so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
That's a wrap for today's show. Say yes to taking action and changing the world one yes at a time. And oh, my friend, will you say yes to review, like, and subscribe? The more yeses you give, the more juicy goodness I can bring to all of you wise pineapples. Cooler cool.